Welcome back, Wargamers, to another Build Me an Army worthy of video, and today it is Angmar, the third and final, if I've uploaded this in the right order, of the three for my tournament armies that I took in 2019. So we'll get straight into it. Like I said, it's Angmar. There's a few models in front of you. I didn't necessarily take all of these within my tournament armies, but a lot of them I did, and there are plenty of other options I considered when creating my tournament lists. So we'll straight away start with the main man, X-Man, spirit creature thing himself, and that is the Witch King of Angmar. Now he is powerful, damn powerful, because you can have him however you please. He's a hero of legend in the Angmar army list, and as most of you know, in Middle Earth Strike Back game you can build a ring wraith like a Build-A-Bear. So he's base points 70, but you can take him all the way up to 150 by adding on Might, Will, Fate 5 points for each, and basically construct him however you please. And that's what makes him pretty darn powerful. Is you can have him however you like. So he's Fight 5, Strength 4, Defense 8, 1 attack, 1 wound, Courage 6, and then between 0 and 3 Might, 10 and 20 Will, and 0 and 3 Fate. He has Heroic Resolve, Channeling, Strike, Strength, and Challenge. So there's a couple of magic-based ones in there and combat-based ones. Also a hint of what you can do with him. You can take on an Armoured Fellbeast or a regular Fellbeast, as he is before you here. He can have the Crown of Morgul, which is darn cool. That increases his base stats to 3. Additionally, whilst he's wearing the crown, he can choose to reroll 1 dice when casting or resisting magic. So that basically means he has a free will. He has a Staff of Power, kind of a watered down Staff of Power. He has a so on something with a ring wraith with the limited will points, they all have the Will of Evil. So if they run out of will points, then they are banished. They disappear. They die. They count as a casualty. So having a reroll on there, meaning instead of it spending 2 every turn, just for a 1, get the reroll. So it's as good as rolling 2, try and get high. So, you definitely take that Crown of Morgul. It's really good in this edition. It's cheaper than it was before, and before it was only the 3 attacks rule, and now it's got the rerolling magic, which is really cool. So it benefits you in both aspects, of combat and magic. You can also take a horse or an armoured horse, which I have here, converted from the Morgul Knight set, so he's on there. If you wanted to use him slightly differently, which we'll get to, he has the Morgul Blade, which means if he wounds something and it's not saved with Fate, all the wounds are dealt, which is a 1-use ability. That's why it's fairly cheap. And he can have his 2-handed flail, which I'll probably never use. The Morgul Blade, possibly. Quite situational. I'd much rather use those. It's 10 points. Much rather use those extra 10 points to get an extra 2 stats. Unless I just had 10 points hanging around, then it's a handy little thing to have. Especially when he's on the Fellbeast anyway. He's probably going to do quite a bit of killing as it is. So I will just point out the Angmar. Ignore that noise. The Angmar. What am I saying? The army bonus, that's what it's called. The army bonus. So basically, friendly Angmar Orc models within 3 inches of a spirit hero, such as the Witch King, gain the Terror special rule, which is really cool because you're going to be having a lot of orcs in an Angmar army because they are so cheap. There's a lot of heroes of legend and heroes of valor that can lead plenty of orcs in their warbands, so you're going to get a good use out of that, and terror causing orcs just really throws a spanner in the works for your opponent. Even elves start to struggle because of the -1 from the wraiths you are probably going to have around. You're probably going to have at least 1 wraith. Your other wraith options are, which I don't actually own the models for, are the Tainted and the Drumalek. The reason I don't have them is because in the last edition I didn't like how they worked. They're too powerful, too easy to use for just made up heroes. I know this is all made up, it's fantasy, but you know what I mean, it's not in the books or the films, so I never really used them, although they are very, very good if you did want to use them, especially the Tainted now. He is darn powerful, and who knows, maybe I'll use them in the future just just for a bit of fun in the game, but I definitely refused to use them before. But another creature that you can use that has the Harbinger of Evil, you've probably already seen at the back here, and probably already seen on the channel at some point, maybe, potentially, can't remember, is Gullivar, the Terror of Arnor. Now, I really like this guy, and I know I said before that I didn't like things that weren't in the lore or the books. Gullivar was briefly mentioned, I believe, somewhere, but not in exquisite detail. The reason I do have him is because one of my favourite portions of the Tolkien stories are the Arnor parts, and the Rise of Angmar and all that stuff, and I think the Games Workshop Ruin of Arnor campaign book, which we have filmed the first half of, spoilers, so look after that. The Ruin of Arnor book is brilliant, the scenarios and they're great fun, the Arnor models are great, and I just wanted everything that revolved around that era. So Gullivar, he is fight 7, strength 8, defense 5, an asterisk on his attacks, we'll get to that, wounds 4, an asterisk on his courage, might 3, wound 3, and 0 fate. He has Fly, the Harbinger of Evil, so the -1 courage, which is nice when you have terror-causing orcs across the board. He has his monstrous charge, so he gets knocked down on the charge. He's resistant to magic as well, on top of his 3 will, and he causes terror, which obviously, because he's Harbinger, otherwise that would be pointless. He has an immortal hunger, so Gullivar regains a single wound for each model he slays in combat. So that is pretty cool. His defense 5 and no fate means that he will be taking some wounds for definite. I took him to, so I didn't take the Witch King to Apex Hill tournament in March, I want to say. That was 4 games, 550 points. I did take Gullivar, I took him as my leader, and I should not have done. I should have taken my other hero, because he got wounded every single time, which he will at defense 5. He's just going to take some. He can get them back. He never died. He did get close a couple of times, but regained it back up, so that rule is incredibly good. It keeps him in the game for so long, because there's very few things that can do 4 wounds to him in one go. 3 maybe from a hero with might spent, 2 highly likely, and 1 is always going to happen. So probably not the best bet as a leader. He also has strength of body, strength of will. Gullivar's attacks and courage values are always equal to his remaining wounds, so that's why the asterisks come in. So he has 4 attacks, 5 on the charge, 10 on the knockdown at strength 8, so he is killing things he charges. With fight 7 as well, yeah, you ain't stopping him. And with the fly, he's getting where he wants. He has heroic strength, heroic defense. Strength he'll probably never need. Defense is the best ability for him. It's one of the best abilities in the game now. If you fly over the top, kill a hero, and then find yourself stuck and trapped, heroic defense is sensational, because it's only natural 6s then that wound him, and that has saved him many times when I've used him. At that tournament, he comfortably took out heroes like Hurin and Boromir within just a couple of turns. He went toe to toe with Treebeard and only got very unlucky at the end. He took out the King of the Dead in one go, because obviously that's the main threat, and then who else did I play? Elendil. He absolutely destroyed Elendil. So yeah, he can take on whatever he wants. He's a lot of points, but he is a hero of valor and he is a spirit, so he applies to that terror-causing orc ability. So I would definitely always consider him, even at as lower points as 500. And someone else I would always take, who's always in my army, and unfortunately is not a spirit, so he won't gain from that special, is Birder, Troll Chieftain. So he is also a hero of valor. So the Dumoulin, the Taintable heroes of valor, the Witch King's a hero of legend, Gullivar valor, and Birder valor. So you're already packing in those cheap and cheerful orcs, and getting a pretty sizable army along with all these expensive monsters and heroes. He is fight 6 with a 4+ shoot, strength 6, defense 6, attack 3, wound 3, courage 4. So basically a cave troll stat with better shoot value and better courage, but with 3 might, 1 will, and 1 fate. I love hero monsters. I love monsters as it is anyway. As you can see, there's plenty of monsters here. But as soon as you chuck might on that monster, they are a completely different prospect. They are horrifying to play against. The fact that they can heroic combat into something else, cool heroic moves, and have like heroic strike and defense and stuff like that, and they're just going to take out the smaller heroes like your Boromirs and your Aragorns, because they have the brutal power attacks as well. They're scary, and I love using them. He has a pick which is, could be really helpful, because then he can piercing strike and go up to strength 7. So that could make the difference, because the strength 6 is, because if you're rending or if you're striking regularly against a model that's defense 6, which is quite an average, it's 4s, and for a monster you'd want it to be a little bit easier than that. If you're rending against heroes, there's quite a lot now that are strength 5, then it's 5, so getting you up to that strength 7 for the defense 5 and 6 stuff, and defense 7 stuff even, is pretty helpful. Yeah, even against defense 7 stuff, it's 5s. So he ain't going through Iron Hills very easily, or hazards or anything like that. He does heroic strike, which is really nice. Heroic strength and heroic challenge. So challenging a hero against a monster for him is actually a pretty cool rule. He obviously has terror, because he's a troll, and he has throw stones, which has a range of 12 inches, strength of 8. Now, I've used this a couple of times, because I don't take any shooting in my Angmar army. If I'm up against another army that has literally no shooting, make use of his throw stones. Strength 8, 4+ hit. So it means it's likely going to be 4s to hit, 4s to wound. Why not? Chuck that out, leader. And he has lead by example. This has never come up or made a difference, or I've forgotten about it in the games that I've played. In the turn in which Birder slays an enemy hero or monster model in combat, all friendly Angmar Orc models and Troll models within 6 inches of him counter being in range of a banner. Yeah. It's not as good as it sounds, because it says in a turn. So it only lasts for 1 turn. And if you don't have priority and they pick that as the last combat, which is what happened to me once when it might come up, it has no benefit. It would be nice if it was a permanent benefit. So once he's killed a hero or a leader, a hero or a monster, he is then a 6-inch banner. Or if it was the following turn, then he becomes a 6-inch banner. Then you get a full turn's use out of it. Not great, but he's either the same points or a 5-point decrease since the last edition, and he is the same as he was before. So that's fine. And he can lead more dudes as opposed to the last edition. So it's there for free. It is a nice option should it ever come up. I usually use Birder so Gulliver is your hero hunter. He can take out anything. He's also good at taking out a few troops as well, with his flying, bouncing off them, bouncing around and whatever. Birder is good for going straight down the middle. If it's an objective-based game like Domination or Capture and Control, you should put him on the middle objective and say you're not getting this, and then just punt him straight forwards. Have him surrounded by loads of orcs, the banner which you see behind him, have all the other scary stuff like Barrow-wights and Shades around. He is the better choice leader. At the 550 point tournament I took Gulliver and Birder, and I wish I had Birder as my leader. 1, because he has a high defense, 2, because he has the extra fight value, 3, he is harder to isolate. You kind of get too excited with Gulliver. That's my poor play, but also that's just what happens with those monsters that get targeted because they're scarier. Birder isn't the bigger threat. He just quietly gets on with his business, and he does it well. And I would take him in every single Angmar army going. He is excellent. Try using him, especially when you buddy on with a Barrow-wight. Paralyse that hero. That hero's gone. There's nothing to do about it, and he will reliably go through 2 troops, 2 to 4 troops a turn, and just be a nuisance and keep things off objectives and just keep the army together. Some nice combos that you can have. So if your opponent isn't quite committing their army, or the priority isn't right for you to charge, if you've got magic, a wraith, compel that front guy forward, charge it with Birdo, heroic combat into their lines, or even better, use the Specter if you don't have or don't want to use the Wraith stats just yet. Or can compel a hero forward, paralyse him, and then Birdo it. Brilliant, done that before, taking out Barlin in one go. So yes, he is my first pick in an Angmar force, no matter the points value. And then we go on to another thing made up, which again I only got for the Ruin of Arnor book to do the campaign. I've not used in a tournament game before, the Shade. He is Fight 1, Strength 1, Defense 8, 1 attack, 3 wounds, Courage 1, no might, 8 will, 0 fate. That sounds awful to start with, but he is a spirit, so he will give orcs terror. But basically at the start of the fight value, he can declare use a will point. If he does, every enemy model within 6 inches has a -1 penalty to its duel roll. That is disgusting, don't use him. It's better because in the old edition it used to be automatic. It was just -1s, and you just plonk him behind your lines, and I think that's why I don't like using him, because there's so many cool little tricks, like with the monsters, the cavalry, the little terror bubbles, the banners, the orcs that can have all the different basic war gear, the specters, the barrowite, and all this cool stuff that you can really make the most out of if you position it all right and do it all in the right order and really make cool tactical strategic decisions. But the Shade you just plonk there and that's it, and it's not fun for either side really. So I would never take him to a tournament unless I really hated someone. is the answer to that. So we'll move on from him. Now, the Barrowite. The Barrowite is very cool. I love this guy. He's Fight 3, Strength 3, Defense 7, Attack 1, Wounds 2, that's +1 from the last edition, Courage 6, Might 0, Will 5, and Fate 0. He has Blaze of the Dead, so that means he wounds against Courage. But you really want him for his 5 will and his Paralyze, that has a range of 6 inches and a 4+. So as mentioned before, having a nice combo with Paralyze and then shoving a monster in, that hero will die. If you don't know Paralyze, it basically means that if the hero fails to resist it and gets paralysed, they then count as being prone. They automatically lose any fight they're in, and yeah, they have to roll at the end of each turn, and on the roll of a 6 they wake up. So it basically takes a hero either out for a few games if you just don't want to do a few turns, if you just don't want to deal with him, or have a monster, or even my next trick, have one of these guys with a 2-handed axe going. So just a quick note on the Orc Warriors. I would take a even blend of shields and spears, so maybe like 7 of each in a Witch King warband out of his 18, and then perhaps take 1 or 2 with 2-handed weapons, and then we get a banner in there and a Specter. But I'll get to them in a minute. But the basic orcs I would always take your basic line of shield, backed up by a spear, have plenty of them, make sure you got a lot of attacks, with the banner backing them up. Everyone knows how a banner works. Always take a banner in an Angmar force, it helps everybody. And then I'd always take a couple of 2-handed axemen, so like I say, if a hero's paralysed, he can't fight back, go 2-handed, piercing strike, that'll do some damage. So next up is the Orc Captain, who does also benefit from the terror bubble from the spirits. So these guys are really handy just to help you get even more guys in. You can also mount them on a warg, which is really cool. I've taken captains on foot before. I've not long converted this Orc Captain to be on a warg, which you can see in one of my previous videos, the Hobby This Week Angmar conversions. They are your basic captain of Fight 4, Strength 4, Defense 5, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, Courage 3, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Just gets you that couple extra might in there, gets you that heroic march, which nothing else has access to get you across the board for objectives or recon or something like that. You can have a warg, a bow, and a shield. Give him the shield, Defense 6, pretty handy, makes him a bit tougher. Just use him to go around the back of things, pressure objectives, go through the troops, maybe chuck him into a hero just to hold him up, if you need to be doing other things, but you have other tools to take on heroes. So they're pretty much just for whatever's left that you need to do, that the other things don't quite. And then also we have the Angmar Shaman, who works differently nowadays. So before you take him for the Fury, and I took a Fury Shaman every single time, whereas now he's exactly the same stat line, but he has Wither and Instill Fear. The Wither reduces the opponent's strength, so that's pretty cool to buddy up with a monster who is going to be rending against that hero. And then Instill Fear, everything within 3 inches, I think it is. Yep. Has to take a courage test. If it fails, then it runs away, so it's like a big Specter bubble. Pretty handy putting him on objective, but I would not pay the points for him given the fact he's a minor hero as well. So he's probably the last hero that's going to be going into my list. And then there is the Wild Wog Chief, who is currently being ridden by Orc Captain. He packs some punch now. He has 5/5, strength 6, defense 5, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 4, and then 2/2/1. He does cause terror. He also has march and strength. However, his heroic actions only benefit other Warg models. And that's the thing that puts you off. He's pretty expensive. He can still lead Orcs and Specters and all the rest of it, but his heroic actions only affect Wargs. And I'd only ever have a couple of Wargs in my army at a time, and that would be just to either run straight off the board in Recon and get those points, because they're not great in combat, they're like defense 4, fight 3, or just go sit on objectives and get there quick, and then that's pretty much it. So unlikely I'd ever take the Warg Chief, although it's pretty fun to have 3 attacks and strength 6, but you're going to have other monsters that can do that, because for the same points you could just, yes, it doesn't have the might, but the heroic actions aren't affecting you anyway. You can just get a Cave Troll. Same stat line as Birder, fight 6, strength 6, defense 6, 3 attacks, 3 wounds. You can have a Troll Chain, but you'd much rather have the hand-and-a-half hammer, which means that he can go either single-handed or two-handed. But why would you not go two-handed? Because Cave Trolls are now burly, so they get +1 to wound on everything. So they are brilliant for wrecking through troops now. They will reliably just scythe through everything, just flatten what they come up against. Obviously can't body up with Rend, but in a lot of situations the hammer will be better, especially against a paralysed hero. So a defense 8 hero, strength 6, defense 8 is what, 5s, +1 to wound 4s, you're wounding defense 8 heroes on 4s with your Cave Troll. So I'd immediately just, if I had those points spare, I'm like, do I take a Wild Wog Chief? Yes, to get 2 extra might, but I can't use it on the Orcs and what have you, only the Wargs. Or take the Cave Troll. I'll take the Cave Troll. Like I said before, monsters are cool. They change things. Obviously you still have access to Barge and things like that, which can be as good as heroic combat and gets you somewhere else you'd like to be. Orcs I've already been over. Everyone knows what orcs are. Just cram them in. Cram as many as you can in. Quickly mentioned before were the Wargs. Use them to wrap onto your opponent's spears, use them for traps, use them to pressurize objectives, use them to get off the board. Simple. They are your speed outlet. And also if you wanted a bit of combat power from them, chuck them on put an Orc on top as well. And then finally, one of my favourite troops in the entire game actually, is a Dead Marsh Specter. They are pretty pricey for a troop. They're in the double figures. They are fight 2, which already doesn't sound great. Strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 6. They have heavy armor and sword. They have blades of the dead, so they attack with courage. But you want them for this. The Spectre, a fell light is in them. It's a special rule. You target an enemy model that's in line of sight within 12 inches. That model must pass a courage test. If they fail, then you can move them their full distance anywhere you want. So you can't make them charge things, but you can bring them really, really close, especially if that model has a -1 as well, due to a Wraith or a Gulliver or other. So men are going to be courage 2, so you can move stuff around. You can move like the shield walls around. Like I said before, if the priority isn't right and your opponent isn't committing, it means you can pull something out and then charge it with one of your flying monsters and just absolutely ruin their day with that. I would seriously consider taking between 1 and 3 of these, because well, you can't target the same thing. If you target something and it passes, you can't target it again. The next one along can target the next one along and the next one along, etc. So I'd definitely take a couple of these. Is it 2? Definitely is a good amount. 3 is getting pricey, getting to the half-century points there with 3. But yeah, I'd definitely 1, probably 2. Consider 3 if you've got the points. If not, I'd probably put them into the extra stats, depending on how you're building your Witch King, whether it's for magic or combat. But that is my my Angmar thoughts and what I take. So I definitely prioritise Burger first in any points amount. That's what I take. Gulliver is a very strong option. It's whether you want that magic in there as well. So don't know, I'm still undecided of how exactly I'd get the best out of the Witch King. I'm rubbish at using fell beasts. I usually get them killed, so I'd probably take him on a horse with the crown and then use him primarily as magic, but then he has the option there on his horse to do some charging as well, and that's probably how I'd run him. The Orc Captain is a very solid choice. Cheap, 2 might, gets 12 more dudes in, can do his job efficiently. The Barrow White, yes, he would be my second choice, definitely, yes. Birder, then Barrow White, and then either Witch King or Gulliver. For me, especially at lower points value, which is what I usually play nowadays, it's invaluable, that paralysing. Just take out a leader, a powerful one like Dane or Elendil or something like that, just with 1 spell, which is terrific. And then the banner would always be in there, because the more orcs you have, the better use of the banner. Maybe even 2 banners if the points allow it. The Shaman probably won't be in my army. The Shade won't be in my army. The Warg Chief probably won't be in my army, and the Dwemelech and the Tainted. Probably more so the Tainted, because he takes more skill to be able to get the use out of, but I won't go over him now. Anyway, thank you for watching. In the meantime, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe using the button up here, and check out the other videos down below here. Tomorrow there will be an unboxing of a very cool mystery box sent to me from Mr. Page, and then the following day I will be using a said mystery box. So look out for that.